Hello, my name is Brenda Nilsson, and today I'm giving a presentation on mental energy and reserves, or how to study smart. The information I'm sharing is aimed towards students, parents, professionals, and anyone wanting a high mental performance. I will present ideas, concepts, and exercises to regenerate flagging mental powers and to build long-term mental and physical capacity. At present, I am a student at the American College of Health Sciences, ACHS, in Oregon, United States, and I'm in the Aromatherapy Diploma program, where I'm making this presentation as part of the business class. I love aromatherapy. One thing I love about it, besides the lovely scents, is that it is a discipline that actually combines ancient traditional knowledge with modern research. I have a lifetime of studies in health, starting as a biologist and radiographer. I have also studied the disciplines of kinesiology, naturopathy, craniosacral, and healing. It fascinates me to study the Western knowledge and research tradition and the healing arts and traditions stemming from the East, the Far East, and to unearth practices from ancient cultures. What I'm presenting here in the next 45 minutes is a selection of strategies that I've gleaned over the course of many years. I'm going to tell you about why your brain doesn't work for you when you're tired or stressed, and I'm going to give you some strategies for regenerating your mental powers, both long and short term. First, I'd like to define stress. Stress can be both positive and negative. Negative stress is called distress. It's what a lot of people connect with stress. Positive stress is also a form of stress, and your body gets a stress reaction the same as it would with distress. And positive stress can be a party, a wedding, a birth of a child, a move, change, a loss of a loved one. Oh, I'm sorry. That's actually distressful. Sorry. Also, a lack of rest can cause negative stress. But I'm going to call, for the purposes of this talk, I'm going to call it all stress. So what causes stress? Overwhelm, too much to do, lack of overview, lack of paddling, strategic planning, lack of focus of our efforts, multitasking, too much, frequent interruptions, lack of sleep and rest, and emotional issues, or just plain old bad habits. One other thing that people don't often consider is the concept of important versus urgent. Some things are urgent, but they're not really important. So it's important to see what's important in your life and decide where you're going to focus your efforts and your energy, because not everything urgent is actually important. I'd like to tell a little bit about how our brain works and how it acts under stress, and why doesn't our brain work when we're tired or stressed. Our brain consists of two major sections. We have the cerebellum, that's in the back of the brain, and that's the part that's connected to our spinal cord. And then we have the cerebrum, and that's in the front of the brain and the side of the brain above the ears, behind the forehead and above the ears. The cerebellum, located in the back, is also called a reptilian brain. This part of our brain is constantly online. It is our autopilot. It gives our It controls our breathing, all the automatic functions, heart rate, swallowing, sweating, blinking our eyes, all these things that are going constantly, and our basic survival functions are in the cerebellum. It receives sensory impressions from the body. The cerebrum is the part of our brain where we have learning, memory, analysis, decisions, planning, and this part of our brain is a part that we normally associate with being aware and conscious of what's happening in ourselves and in our environment. This part of our brain, unlike the cerebellum, has a rest cycle and an alert cycle. This part of our brain needs to have rest every day, and that rest takes the most ideal is taking the form of sleep. So for this part of our brain, the part that's doing all the work, as far as when you're studying or doing anything mental, it needs to rest to work properly. During stress, blood moves from this front part, the cerebrum, back into the cerebellum. That means that there's very little blood or circulation in the front part of our brain where the learning takes place. So if we're stressed, we can't learn anything. We can't process what we've learned. We can't remember things. We get confused. All these things happen if we're under stress because there's just no blood. There are no resources up in the front part of the brain that does all that type of work. The right and the left hemispheres, the cerebrum is divided into the right and left hemispheres, and they each have their own jobs. Between connecting these two right and left hemispheres is a bridge, and that bridge is called the corpus callosum. This bridge is vital, and for example, during a head trauma, this is often injured, which gives a lot of the problems that people experience after concussions. Let me explain exactly how the right and left hemispheres work together, because it's very important to understand when we're trying to learn something or talk or produce anything. Let's take the example of a ball, of a blue ball. So the right side of the brain is looking at the overview. It's seeing the forest. It sees colors, and it sees shapes, and it sees patterns. The left part of our brain is, if our forest is on the right, the trees are on the left. The left part takes all the details and it takes things apart, it digitalizes things. It also has the language center, and words are over on the left side. Also, a lot of the math is over there, although higher math demands both portions, both the right and the left half of the brain. Higher math will. Arithmetic is usually the left side, but if you have higher math, more advanced, you're going to have both sides of the brain. So back to our example of a blue ball, our right side of the brain sees the pattern. The pattern it's seeing is something that's round and symmetrical. We don't know what that is yet. So that information goes to the left. The left side of the brain puts a name. The name is sphere. But that doesn't tell us enough information yet. So it goes back to the right. The right side says blue. No, the right side doesn't say blue. The right side picks up the color. That information about the color goes to the left side, and it gives it blue, the name blue. So now we have a blue sphere. Now we still don't really know what it is, so the right side might give some information, or our fingers might give us some information about it, but it's only through this dialogue between the right and the left side that we suddenly understand it's a blue ball. Then we have that understanding. Once we have the understanding where it's a blue ball, then and only then can we start thinking about what is the blue ball doing, or what do we do with the blue ball. And then we can start thinking about tossing it in the air, kicking it, throwing it, bouncing it, and then by doing that, the effect it will have on its environment. So you see, we need our whole brain to understand basically what we're working with and how it works relative to our environment, to ourselves and to our environment. So we need our whole brain. And when we don't have our whole brain, when we're under stress, it's very hard to learn anything, or to operate, or to understand what's being said. So that's why we have trouble with our brain. So now we've got to figure out what to do about that. Now our brain, I've never heard any literature that tells the exact timing of when our cerebrum takes the rest cycle. I only have learned about the sleeping. But our body has an activity and rest cycle that has been documented, and that's a 90-minute cycle. So we have a 90-minute cycle of alertness and a 90 minutes of rest. And this goes throughout our day. It actually goes at night as well. So it's a little bit independent of how the brain works. But it also tells how much energy is available to the brain at any one time. So if your body feels like you're flagging, your brain may not have much energy available to it. That might be a good time to get up from your chair, or lay down your book, or get away from your computer and do something else. You just pay attention to that and try and see if you can follow the rhythms of your body, and see it as a support as to what time of the day are you very alert. Some people are alert in the mornings, sometimes the afternoon, evenings. We're all different. The idea is just find out what works for you and adjust your schedule as much as you can. I wanted to say that mental fatigue is often misunderstood. Mental fatigue, an early sign of mental fatigue, is this effect of feeling it's difficult to get started. But once you get going, it's okay. That is often an early sign of mental fatigue. Young people, especially with their great physical vitality, sometimes have trouble. Their body's all ready to go and very active, but their brain just isn't there for them. That's actually mental fatigue, and there are a few things they can do, but sometimes they've just been overdoing. If you have chronic mental fatigue, that can actually affect the body and give flu-like symptoms, or you can become ill. Everyone knows about studying for a big exam and then becoming sick once we've turned it in, or a project. So now I'd like to tell you a few things we can do to help our brain to reestablish balance and work together so we can learn and produce and feel good and alert and vital. The first thing is called a cross crawl, and I would like you to stand up with me as we do it. The cross crawl is utilizing we're going to use the right and left side of the body opposite. So it's a little bit like walking. Take your left arm forward and your right leg forward, then go back, and now your right arm forward and your left leg. So it's sort of like walking with swinging your arms, but just walking is fairly passive. So we're going to push it up a little bit and lift your knees up high, so like you're marching, and swing your arms. Do this 30 to 60 seconds. just marching in place, and you can get fancy and stick your legs out and your arms up. But what you want to do the whole time is the opposite arm and leg are doing the same thing as far as being forward or backward. Cross crawl helps to integrate the entire brain, the front and the back and the side to side. It's especially good for the corpus callosum, the bridge that I named before with the right and left halves of the brain. It's especially good for that, to get that integrated. It also helps with body coordination. This is a great exercise to do every single day. And if you're just going to have to do one thing and only have time for one thing, this is the one to choose. It's really great. If you're sitting and studying and you're kind of feeling like you're flagging, get up and do a little cross crawl. You'll get energy back. Cross crawl, I just want to call your attention to, you can do a cross crawl when you're walking down the street. A lot of people walk with their arms hanging flabbily at their sides. Swing your arms and make it more active, and it will help to integrate your brain. Even if you have to hold packages or books in one side, swing the other side, it will still give you some benefit. Walking in fresh air is also very good to help normalize a lot of our metabolic functions and the polarity in the body, the electrical system of our body, and also to help to detox. We've got a lot of waste products that are in your brain. Just as you get in your muscles, you get waste products. You can get waste products in your brain because it's working hard. And the walking in the fresh air is a really fast way to get rid of all that. 30 minutes a day is pretty much ideal. If you can go 60, that's great. But at least 10 minutes of fresh air a day is a non-negotiable. There is a recent study of 200,000 people, and they found that 10-minute breaks throughout the day, mini breaks of even 1 minute, had a significant effect on the blood composition in a positive direction. So they're suggesting moving your printer just a few steps from your computer. Just getting up and moving has an effect on your general health and on your brain vitality. They were connecting it with prevention of Alzheimer's and dementia, as well as it's good for you right here and now. I just would like to mention, I don't have time to go into it, that yoga is excellent as a general toning and keeping your body functions alive. That the yoga positions are a little bit more than just an exercise. They try to normalize many of the functions of your body, and it's worth investigating. Breathing is another thing that we can do if we have a little bit of mental tiredness. We can breathe in and out through the nose. That's actually a key thing to do, even when you're exercising, if you can. Obviously, sometimes you're exercising too hard and you need to use your mouth. But while you're studying, when you're sitting in a meeting, when you're making a presentation, doing an oral exam, breathe in and out of your nose as much as possible. It awakens or it normalizes your sympathetic, parasympathetic nervous systems, and it helps to get the parasympathetic functioning more actively. When we have breathing through our mouth, it activates our sympathetic. That means the one that's giving the reactions, the knee-jerk response to the situation. You're trying to keep your wits about you. That's not what you want. You want to have the parasympathetic working, and that is activated by breathing in and out through the nose. Another thing is on the breathing is exhaling. We can all inhale very quickly and easily, but we need to exhale as well, and we can breathe 4, 7, 8, 4 in, 7 hold, and 8 out, and do this to 4 to 20 rounds once or twice a day. Is very helpful and supportive. Something else is to do something else. Take a holiday, socialize, have a hobby. Some people relax by cooking, others by gardening. Do just something different. Just like we have our muscles that can get tired if we're using them all the time, if you're studying or working in the same things all the time, it gets tired. That area of the brain can get tired. So doing something else allows the recovery for the brain, and also, especially with the brain, it wants to process sense information, so it allows that. So just doing something else is actually an amazing effect on the brain. Meditation, I don't have time to go into that, but that is actually really good, and calming the brain, emotions. I want to say that during meditation, something that's used in the shamanistic tradition is to not only connect with spirit, but also to connect with earth. This is especially good if you're doing a lot of mental work, because this form of grounding, the idea you connect to the center of the earth in your as you visualize. This type of grounding actually helps you with processing what you've learned, and also just calms you completely, very complete calming. Generally, strengthening things that we can do are dry brushing. This is something we can do daily or a couple times a week. It takes like only 3 or 4 minutes, and you can do it in the morning or the evening before your shower, right in your shower stall. There are special brushes designed for this. They're both firm, but they're also not too scratchy for your skin. And you're doing it on dry skin, and it has a wonderful effect on your nervous system and also the lymphatics, which are especially good in the legs. You sit a lot, your legs can swell. It's really helpful. You want to go in little circles, or smaller or larger circles, and you start farthest from the heart, and you always work toward the heart. Don't do dry brushing your face. The brushes are usually too harsh for that skin. It's a wonderful thing to do dry brushing frequently. I mentioned early walking and fresh air and exercise, and I just want to say that after studying and learning, it's a really good little trick to go for a walk after you've finished a section, because it will help your brain to integrate what you just learned or read. Also, just a daily exercise program is also very good if you're for mental work, because overly or underused muscles cause tension around the joints, and they reduce circulation, and they build up toxins and waste products that give us subtle stiffness and pain in the body. And we may or may not be actually consciously aware of that, but because of course the body's picking up all the sensory impressions, it does have the power to distract energy and resources from the brain. So good physical fitness actually facilitates really good brain fitness. Sleep is very important for brain function. Sleep deprivation is one of the first tools used during torture sessions. It just affects everything, but especially first and foremost our brain function. Lumosity.com, which specializes in helping people to get their brains to work better, says peak performance requires plenty of rest, Sleep deprivation can cause memory impairment, induce attention deficit, and create other brain health concerns. So sleep is for your memory and your integration of new information, especially new information together with what's already known, and it's anti-aging. How much sleep do we need? Well, our brain actually needs 8 or 9 hours of sleep. And the Chinese medicine says that on people who have a normal everyday schedule, 10 o'clock is the time to go to bed. This helps for regenerating the adrenals and also just general for stress. For quite a while, I just want to say also, while we're on it, that normal sleep patterns help to normalize cortisol levels. And cortisol is the hormone that's released when we're under longer-term stress. And it does affect our brain, has a direct effect on our brain. So we want to keep our cortisol levels low. And normal sleep patterns will help to normalize that. Now, it's been sort of in style, especially starting in the 90s, that sort of us great performers and super people only get, it's almost a badge of pride. I only get 6 hours of sleep a night, or I do great on 4. Actually, the person is not performing at their top. And unfortunately, they don't realize it themselves if they've gotten into a many-year habit of only sleeping 6 hours a night. And some small problems that they seem to be recurring, they may not be connecting with sleep deprivation, but it could be the root cause of that problem or many problems that people have. There is also the issue of, are you living in this world to survive, or are you living in this world to thrive? Survival is these short nights of sleep. But if you want to thrive, you need to get 8 and even 9 hours of sleep a night. Now, we talked a little bit about the 90-minute rest and alert cycle earlier. Well, you can use this with your sleep. When you start feeling you're sleepy, go to bed. That's the time that your body's ready to go to sleep. And going to sleep at that time also facilitates an entire night of good sleep. If you go to sleep at your alert cycle, you can just waste your time staring at the ceiling because your body is not ready to go to sleep. And waiting until your body comes to the rest cycle starts up, which might be 60 or 90 minutes after you go to bed. That's not very productive if you're a person who likes to produce a lot. And there's another thing is, if you go to bed during the middle of your alert cycle for some reason that's not known, the quality of your sleep that night isn't as good either. So try to pay attention. Go to bed when you're sleepy. Easy, but extremely valuable. Do not underestimate some of these little things that I'm sharing, that they will really help you. Another way, if you're completely out of your normal sleep cycle, is to try to utilize the natural light cycle of the earth. Try to be awake when the sun's out and go to bed when it's dark. Nobody works at their top at 2 and 3 in the morning. It's better for you to go to bed if you've got a lot of big assignment. It's better for you to go to bed and get up at dawn with the light and work early. It just works better for your body and your brain. Another thing one can do is, if one sleeps restlessly, is to use these earthing sheets, which I'll come back to. Flower remedies, for example, the Bach or Bach flower remedies, are something that can often be used and are helpful with anybody with doing mental work. I don't have time to go into it, but briefly, hornbeam is the most often used Bach remedy for mental fatigue, procrastination, and uncertainty, for overwhelm, elm, for lack of confidence, lark, for exhaustion of the body and mind, olive, and for uncertainty, for example, uncertainty of direction, wild oat. There are other companies that are offering flower remedies, and you might like to look into those. Flower remedies are something that is very helpful for a lot of people, and people are using it also on animals and even plants with good effect. But that's a subject of an entire talk. Another thing I would like to briefly name, again a subject of an entire talk, is about nutrition. Make sure that you're eating well or you have good nutritional habits. Of special interest with the brain would be the oils that you have. Fresh, what am I trying to say? I want to say extra virgin olive oil, but I'm also talking about cold-pressed oils. And omega-3 is the one that's used a lot by the brain. The omega-3, that's the one that's in fish and flaxseed oils. So they're used a lot by the brain. And something else used by the brain is lecithin. Our brain is bathed in a large amount of lecithin. And lecithin can be got in capsules. Usually that's a soy-based lecithin. But you can get it naturally and very cheaply by just bringing beans, that's legumes, into your diet. B vitamins are also used. Protein, and both of those are used with making neurotransmitters and with brain function. C vitamin is an antioxidant. And fast foods deplete brain energy and our general vitality. So especially during exam time, or when you're doing a presentation, or you're very busy at office, although it's tempting because you might be tired to do fast foods, try to avoid them. I mean, just avoid them completely. Chocolate is actually grounding. So 75% cocoa, not the ones that have a lot of sugar in them, is actually okay for mental work. Water is extremely important. Make sure you're always hydrated. In doing some kinesiology testing, if the testing starts to go haywire and you're getting sort of mixed answers, the first thing you check is water. It affects the synapses. It's in the synapses of the nerves are affected by dehydration or being thirsty. Of course, headaches, water for headaches is one of the big reasons for people getting headaches, is just a lack of water. There's also something they call green juice, and that is from the plant kingdom, and just juiced. And the water from plants is now believed to hydrate the intercellular spaces in the body and in the brain, whereas drinking water is mainly used by the kidneys to flush toxins out of the body. And also make sure, as far as your brain work is, that your intestinal tract is working well, especially your colon. Make sure you're not constipated. You want to drink water, maybe use some fiber, can often help that. Something else that I would like to tell you about today is called grounding or earthing. And this was originally discovered by a man named Clint Ober. And I believe he was worked with the water and sanitation, no water. I can't remember what, excuse me, I don't remember what it was he works with. At this moment, my brain went a little bit dead on me. Sorry. He worked and he discovered that some houses were great to live in, and people were always being sick. And he started to study this. He's that curious type. And he got together with a Dr. James Oschman, which some of you may know. And they've researched it. And what they found out is that our body and our energy system is tuned to walking on the earth. That's why they call it earthing, this system. And although a lot of the poorer countries in the world are walking around without shoes on, in the other countries, people wear shoes. And that breaks the energy. Apparently, our bodies are designed to interact with the earth as we walk. And our skin is a great connector. And so our inner energy system completely gets normalized by walking on the earth. As far as studying things, it normalizes our heart rate, it normalizes the polarity in our body, it's anti-inflammatory, which is a big buzzword in the moment because inflammation seems to be behind every chronic disease. Earthing normalizes the autonomic nervous system, and there's just a whole lot of things that are great. How do we earth? Well, earthing is bare feet in dewy grass in the morning, walking by the ocean and in the salt water, or even just swimming in the ocean is wonderful. And they also make some special sheets that contain silver threads that are connected to a grounding outlet. So your shoes, plastic soled shoes will stop the possibility to earth. So leather shoes are great, but not plastic. And people wonder, well, here I live in a city, what am I going to do? If you're wearing the right kinds of shoes, you can actually earth through concrete if it's a non-insulated type of concrete, not asphalt at all. And I've got a link here in my reference so you can read a little bit more about it. Well, as an aromatherapy student, I could not close this talk without telling a little bit about aromatherapy possibilities. So, aromatherapy is just, a wonderful for so many things. I love it, and the more I learn about it, the more I love it. So there are some essential oils that help with learning and studying, and memory, concentration, driving your car a long distance, for example. So one of the top ones is rosemary. Wait just a minute, I'm going to go back. I'd like to say that when I'm talking about essential oils, I'm talking about pure oils that therapeutic grade. Well, great source for this is actually the ACAH Apothecary Shop. They have the best oils that I have seen, and the broadest range of oils. The oils I've seen equally good oils down in France, in Provence, France, of course. But the Apothecary Shop has those oils, and they have a whole lot of other oils. For example, in France, you'll only get the French oils. So the Apothecary Shop has oils from all over the world, top grade. I've never seen anything better. So I just wanted to say that. Be sure to get a good quality therapeutic grade oil. Now, what oils should we use, or what can we use? Well, the first one that's a top one for focusing, alertness, concentration, and some say confidence, is rosemary, and that's Rosmarins officinalis in Latin. And there are a couple subtypes, and there's one called cineole. The smell of this is pungent and very sharp. This one actually should be avoided for this purpose. It can be used, but it doesn't really help with the brain, which is what we're talking about. Then there's another subtype called Rosmarinus officinalis type Verbone, and that's Verbone. That has a more herbaceous scent, and that is ideal for the brain, for what we're working with now. So that's one I would recommend. Other good ones for memory and concentration is basil, and that's Ocimum basilicum. It's mentally stimulating, and this one actually you should be using in the morning and the daylight hours. It's stimulating enough. It can also help with headaches, especially headaches brought on by mental fatigue. There are different types of this one as well, and the one you want to go after is the one that has the most floral scent to it. The more floral scent will be higher in the chemical linalool, and it will be lower in the chemical methylclavicol, and you don't want the methylclavicol. It's just the other's much better. Another one I recommend is peppermint, and that's Mentha piperita, and this one is uplifting, and it also helps with tension headaches. Cypress is for fatigue and concentration, and that's called Cupressus sempervirens in Latin. It's great as well. Lemon, Citrus limon, is refreshing. Lemon is a little bit interesting because testing shows that in the western part of the world, it's considered refreshing. In the eastern part of the world, it's considered relaxing. So I think we can just conclude that it's balancing. So lemon is a nice oil to use, very popular. Bay laurel is Laurus nobilis, and it's also called laurel leaf. Don't confuse that though with bay leaf, which is Pimenta racemosa. That's really not for our usage. Laurus nobilis clears your head when you're mentally fatigued, and it helps focus, give courage when facing new challenges. Helps with ideas and creativity. I like to use this up on my temples. I'll tell you how to apply it later. But this bay I like to use in this way. Other usages of essential oils related to study that's not necessarily doing with being alert are Atlas cedarwood, and that's Cedrus atlantica. This is grounding, which means it helps you to think over the things that you have learned and put the pieces together. It can be used to replace sandalwood. In a blend of 20, 2 or 3 drops is probably enough. Bergamot, Citrus bergamia, is for anxiety. So, for example, before your exam. It's also for depression and confidence. It is phototoxic, so don't have it around this. Don't let it be on the skin and then go out in the sun. It means that you could get sunburned a little faster than normal. All the citrus oils are good, and they're considered balancing. I just want to call attention to 2 more, and that is grapefruit. That's Citrus paradisi, that's for confidence, and orange, Citrus reticulata, and that's for alleviating stress. If you use citrus oils in a blend, do refrigerate, and otherwise if you can't refrigerate, store cool and dark. All the citrus oils are that way. Clary sage, Salvia sclerea, is actually good for resting and to sleep. So it's great for putting in a diffuser in a room. Lavender, Lavandula officinalis or Lavandula angustifolia, is a both stimulating and sedative action, so it has a universally balancing effect. It has been overused, altered, and so forth, and a lot of people have had copycats or smelled very poor quality lavender. So you might be against it, but if you will try again with some top quality oils, I think you'll like lavender. Patchouli is Pogostemon cablin. This is the one that the hippies liked, and some people really like it and other people seem to not like it at all. So focus, grounding, meditation, or traumatic stress. And in a 20-drop blend, 1 drop is probably enough, 1 to 2 drops. Rose is Rosa damascena. This is actually the top essential oil for insomnia. But rose is extremely dear, extremely precious and expensive. So you probably don't want to use much. People are often confused, so I'd like to point out that Rose Otto is the steam distilled rose, and it is the more expensive. Rose Absolute is solvent extravagant. It's lower priced, so that's probably the one you might want to use in an air diffusion. You might only want to use 1 drop in a blend because of its expense. Rose has been copied, and some other flowers are often used, but they're labeled as rose. So most people are surprised when they smell the pure rose of a top quality essential oil. Sandalwood, Santalum album, is both grounding, balances chakras, which I had originally included in this talk, but then there wasn't enough time, and balancing. Sandalwood is expensive, just as rose is. The problem with sandalwood is that the farming practices or the harvesting practices where they're using wild trees, and they use the whole tree, they kill the tree to get the essential oil, and they don't replace the trees. So that actually sandalwood trees are getting rare. So if you use sandalwood, you need to make sure that it's been sustainably harvested, meaning they replanting. An alternative to sandalwood is cedarwood. It has similar qualities, and you can use that safely. 1 drop in that 20-drop blend. Then there's vetiver, and that's Vetiveria zizanioides, and that's for exhaustion. And then distressing insecurity, grounding, and it is traditionally used for the root chakra. For those of you who know about essential oils, the ones that are the base or the fixed essential oils are also considered grounding. And in this connection, grounding means that it helps our mind to sort out and understand what we are reading or what we have learned, and to integrate with previously acquired knowledge. So my suggestion of how to use it when you're studying is to make yourself a little blend of the therapeutic grade essential oils. Include 2, 3, or 4 or 5 different oils, and put it in a little container, a small container. You don't want a lot of air space in this container, and use a little bit of it while you're studying. With you just using 20 drops blends at a time, you will always be sure to have fresh oils. You can, for example, and mix these. Sorry. suggestions of how to use it is an air diffuser, and you can put it in a spray bottle, a small spray bottle with water. This has actually a short shelf life, and it needs to be refrigerated when you're not using it. But it's great in a room. Clears the air and refreshes everything when you're tired. Another choice of an air diffuser is to put 5 to 6 drops into a water bath over a votive candle. And there are special products that are available. They're often made of clay or glass that are specially designed for this. 2 to 5 drops can be put into a bath, and first you fill your bathtub up, and then just before you go in you add your essential oils and then get into the water. This way you won't lose the essential oils before you get into the tub. You can also take 2 drops of your blend of the carrier oil, two drops of your blend, and mix it into a carrier oil, which could be made of macadamia nut, avocado, jojoba, almond, and just mix in that little tiny portion, and you can put it on your temples. This is when I mentioned I like the bay laurel in this blend. And you just put it into your temples throughout the day, or that little portion, use it over a space of a couple days, and it's very stimulating, and it clears the mind. It's a lovely way to use the essential oils. I'm getting to the end of my time that's available to me, so I hope that what I have told you and shared with you today will help your ability to maintain focus during study and exams, meetings, and other mentally demanding tasks. This is a long-term investment for your body and especially for your mind. And we can actually stabilize our energy or call forth energy as we need it in these ways, and create and cultivate robustness and reserves of energy and strength. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.